This is 5 on your side at 4. Focused on you.
It's not a great day, but it's a new day.
For a shocking coaching change, the only head coach to win a Stanley Cup in St. Louis is now out of a job. Thanks for being here. I'm Kay Quinn. Brent Solomon is on assignment. Craig Berube was relieved of his coaching duties last night, moments after the Blues lost their 4th game in a row. 5 on your side's Corey Miller joins us in studio. The Blues hosted a news conference this morning on the stunning decision. What are your takeaways, Corey?
Okay, last night's news certainly stunned most of the Blues fan base. The only man to lead the franchise to a Stanley Cup is out of a job just 28 games into the current season. It's a move that has led to a lot of finger pointing from the outside and a lot for President and General Manager Doug Armstrong to answer for. Armstrong met with the media for almost 40 minutes this morning, where he took a large part of the blame for the Blues' current predicament, but also vowed to move forward. Armstrong said he does believe there is more talent on this team than the nightly product shows, but that nobody should be comfortable with the current situation.
Nobody should feel safe in our group right now. I mean, player-wise, management-wise, obviously the coach has been changed. If we could move, chairs on the Titanic, I guess we would. It's harder to do. So this wasn't a decision that was made. The players are doing their best. We just got a bad coach. That's by far not how I feel.
Drew Bannister will be the interim coach for the Blues. He joins the team from the AHL affiliate in Springfield and will be behind the bench when the team takes the ice tomorrow against Ottawa. Okay?
All right, we will see what happens with the team. Thank you, Corey. And stay with 5 on your side for continuing coverage of the firing of Craig Berube. Look for updates on air on the KSDK.com app and on 5 on your side. We're following the developing story of a 15-year-old who now faces charges in an attempted carjacking that turned deadly. Investigators say on the night of January 24th, Deshaun Harris and 2 other suspects approached Kay Johnson's car in South St. Louis and demanded she get out. When she didn't, police say Harris fired a gunshot into the vehicle, hitting Johnson in the face and killing her in front of her 14-year-old daughter. He's been charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. The Missouri Supreme Court has set an execution date for a man who killed family members in 2006. Brian Dorsey is set to be executed at 6 p.m. April 9th, 2024. He was found guilty in 2008 of the murder of his cousin and her husband in their new Bloomfield home. St. Louis County Executive Sam Page suffered a defeat at the County Council last night. Members voted 6-1 to reject his budget proposal that included some tax hikes. Our political editor Mark Maxwell is here with more on where this budget battle goes from here. Mark?
Yeah, Kay, most budget battles involve disagreements over numbers. This one appears to include disagreements over definitions. They're squabbling over words. The county executive and county council are at odds over whether or not the budget they approved last night actually includes steep cuts. Councilwoman Rita Hurd-Days told me, quote, "Those were not cuts. This was money they, Page's office, never had. This was money they asked for." In other words, in her view, they didn't cut actual government spending. They cut from Sam Page's wish list. We dug into those budget documents from last year and this year, hundreds of pages worth, and pulled out specific line items trying to check their math. With $15 million in more spending for police and $9 million more on justice services, the overall spending totals are still climbing, even as the tax base is eroding. In other words, the budget isn't balanced, and this deficit will continue to add all this uncomfortable pressure.
The council identified the cuts when they passed the budget. They identified which departments would be cut, and it's the obligation and responsibility of the executive office, my office, to implement those cuts and make decisions in those departments about which programs will be funded.
We asked Page's office if he'll in fact carry out those cuts he highlighted in his letter earlier this week. His office said in a statement, quote, "Specific cuts will be made with the help of department heads who are working on making those recommendations now," and Page's letter only detailed some of those possibilities. They went on to say, "We want the department heads to have some time to digest the impact of these cuts and help make those final decisions." More tonight at 6.
All right, thank you, Mark. Our dry, mild pattern continues. Today's weather looking a whole lot like yesterday's And yes, more of the same tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell in the Weather First Weather Center.
Well, Kay, the high clouds that we had that were a little lower this morning and a little thicker have tended to thin out across the area this afternoon. But let's go back to this morning's sunrise. Can we talk about how pretty it was in so many places? Many of our 5 on Your Side weather watchers have been sharing their photos on our Weather Watchers Facebook page. St. Francis County, Bill shared this with us. Look at that beautiful sky early this morning. Around the area now, yes, there's still a few high, wispy, thin clouds out there, but a lot of sunshine. And those high, thin clouds, well, there still will be a few of them overnight, but all of the rain and snow is staying well to our west. So what are we looking at tonight? We're going to look up tonight for meteors, the Geminid meteor shower at its peak overnight tonight. Not that you won't have a chance for the next week or so, but tonight looks like a pretty darn good night. Above normal temperatures will continue into the weekend, and there is a slight rain chance on Saturday. Emphasis there is on slight. We will see in a few minutes. We'll talk about that weekend system and tips for watching tonight's meteor shower.
All right, thank you, Scott. At any moment, the House is expected to vote to formally authorize an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. House Republicans are investigating whether the president and his son Hunter took part in an influence peddling scheme, but they haven't found nor provided any evidence. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Washington.
For what purpose does the
House Republicans today moving forward with an impeachment inquiry into President Biden, with a vote aimed at formalizing an investigation centered on so far unproven allegations that the president used political influence to enrich his son, Hunter Biden.
President Biden must be held accountable.
GOP members have yet to offer proof tying President Biden to his son's business dealings.
This is more like a what is it? Not a whodunit. We don't know what the crime is.
House Republicans argue that a formal impeachment inquiry will strengthen their access to more documents and testimony.
You're going to see a clear message from the House today for the White House to cooperate with this investigation.
The vote comes the same day Hunter Biden defied a House subpoena for a closed-door deposition. He came to Capitol Hill offering again to testify publicly.
I'm here today to make sure that the House committee's illegitimate investigations of my family do not proceed on distortions, manipulated evidence, and lies.
House Republicans say they'll move to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress. The younger Biden has already been indicted on felony charges of failing to pay his taxes on time and separate gun possession charges. Today, he acknowledged being extremely irresponsible with his finances during the depths of his battle with addiction. He thanked his parents for saving his life and was adamant.
My father was not financially involved in my business.
Mr. President, should your son have defied the subpoena?
President Biden has firmly denied wrongdoing while standing by his son. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
A local hospital chain orders some staff to wear masks. Will there be a mask mandate for patients? They've been partners for 70 years. The big announcement from the St. Louis Cardinals and Anheuser-Busch. And meet the local man who says his job doesn't feel like work. How what he makes with his hands is deeply tied to his emotions.